in the REC experience. I'm your host, Jas Takhar, and I have some special people with me today. I got your girl, Laura Elto Stewart. What's happening?
Hello, hello.
Your boy, Tyler Ty Walbourne, aka Air Traffic Control for REC Canada. What's going on, my man?
The man with many titles, Tyler Walbourne. Hello.
There you go, Director of Concierge Services.
Very nice to see everyone. Hello, everyone.
We'll touch on that and why that's important. And then obviously, last but not least, my brother from another mother, my business partner, my left, right, the forward, the back, always has it all for me. My main man, Simos, Papailias. What's going on, big boy?
Oh, right here, baby. COVID-19, we're home.
Guys, we are, this is the self-titled quad of REC Canada. We got a running WhatsApp chat group for years now. And, you know, we title it the quad. And while we've been in quarantine and self-isolation, us four have not even had a conversation together yet. We've all been kind of talking to each other separately. And I thought it would be a good idea for our clients, our friends, our family, the whole REC nation to kind of see our faces. Know that we're still alive and we're still good individually, but more importantly as a team, and our 25 realtors and our 10 support staff, the team of 35, we're very, very strong. Still to this day, we're still talking on a regular basis, a lot of positivity, but I wanted to just kind of find out what everyone's been up to. Simos, what's been going on, my man? Like, how are you handling this quarantine right now? Because you're like me, like we're big huggers. We tell our clients all the time, like when they want to shake our hands, we're like, no, guys, like we're huggers. We like to touch and feel it. And now we're obviously all kind of in our own little places. How you been handling this? What have you been doing for the last week? So as of this recording, we've been in quarantine for a week and a couple of days. So what have you been doing, Simos?
Yeah, so I mean, like, this is the original quad, as you mentioned, and I've been working tightly with our new addition to the inner core of the REC, which is Bobby. So soon enough, we're probably going to have to expand the quad into a quant.
Special shout out to Bobby, avid Bachelor watcher Pume. Shout out to you, love you, my man.
Basically, man, I've had a tremendous amount. Like, I've been back to back since this morning in Zoom meetings, and basically what I'm doing is I'm touching every one of our agents virtually via Zoom. So basically, I'm organizing. So basically, I've been really working on the back end, restructuring some of our existing systems, especially in our accounting. So we've kind of come up with a new dashboard for both general tracking of our entire business and actual deal tracking on a one-on-one basis. So in a case like right now, which nobody ever thought something like this would ever happen, came out of nowhere, and hopefully it leaves us just like it came. But these dashboards and these business dashboards enable our group to have real intelligence on the fly. So it's in sync with our
up to the minute, right?
And it took a long time to get here, and we're just fine tuning it now. But Bobby has been instrumental in a lot of that. And at this point, we're ready to like really review our data, which means from a business intel perspective, I don't care if most of our viewers are self-employed. So to have systems where you can actually check in on your business and see where your cash flow is, where your reserves are at, where your expenses are at, more importantly, it gives you the ability to make real-time decisions that can benefit the longevity and, of course, the short and long term of your business instantly.
Well, definitely, right? So it's almost a silver lining, for lack of a better word, from our business, because we've been wanting to and trying to work on the back end systems, even from a tracking perspective and an accounting perspective. We haven't been able to get to it because we've been so busy in the Greater Toronto real estate market, there's
Sure.
been so many launches we've done in the second, and I know Alto can talk about that because she handles a lot of that process for us and for our clients, like that 10-day due diligence period where we finished a launch and then you get into another one. And then as much as I would say, okay, Simos, I think you're good to go and start the back end. I'm like, oh, I need your help, man. I need your help on the sales and marketing side. And now it's like you can sit back, you have help, which is huge with Bobby and others as well. I know Ala's helping out as well. And obviously Shem and our 19-year-old phenom, Luke. You're probably listening, brother. Our little phenom is out there doing his thing. And now look, you have the opportunity to do some of this work. Before I get to our boy Tai Tai and our girl Alto, I still want to know, like, you have 2 little ones running around. I don't get to see daddy often. You have a beautiful wife, Caroline, who's probably not used to seeing you often at home. How are you navigating all of that? And I want to know that from everyone here, but how's that? Like, how are you navigating all that?
Yes. So I mean, I legitimately haven't spent this time at home ever, never in my entire life. So it's very new to me and foreign to me to be inside the home like this. I'm an outdoors person to begin with, so it's very difficult for me to stay in the house. What's making it easy is the fact that I genuinely enjoy spending time with my kids. I mean, it can get pretty crazy at times because they're getting a little bored. So last week was March break. Yeah. So from that time, I was supposed to take Wednesday to Sunday off work just to spend time with them. So I still was able to commit halfway. I worked Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but on the weekend, I actually literally did not do much while the kids were awake. So I took the entire day. The one day we went on a social distancing road trip, meaning I took the kids into the car. We filled up our kind of picnic. We had an in-car picnic up north in Subtle Beach. Yeah. So we never got out of we got out of the car only to look at one of our friends' cottages that's being renovated and nobody was there. So it was just us. But I mean, we made a full day out of a trip with the kids, and they watched iPads on the way up. And
Tai, I know you've been taking. You have 4 dogs now, or 3 dogs?
3 dogs.
3 dogs. You had 4.
I should have stopped at 1, but I have 3.
And so obviously you're going out as much as you possibly can for walks and stuff. Because look, as we know, from what we know, and I'm talking from what I know, and obviously I don't pretend to be a doctor even on the podcast, but you're still allowed to go for walks outside, and get that fresh air. Breathe it in and take it in, and as long as you're practicing social distancing, that's 6 feet away. Like, you see somebody on the sidewalk, you can probably cross the road. But is that how you're spending a lot of your time right now, Tai Tai?
Well, for the dog's sake, we've definitely done a lot of walking, but we have a forest right behind our townhouse, so it's really nice. We could just literally let them run through there. So that's social distancing. At home, I've been trying to stay busy. As you can see, I painted one of the
not just that wall, I hope.
this wall as well as this one, and then I also accidentally painted the ceiling, so I painted in the wrong area too. But keeping busy doing a lot of things that are on the honey to-do list that people put off naturally, and trying to. Are you
noticing a lot of people outside when, like, in that forest that you kind of speak about?
Oh no, there's never usually anyone out there. It's pretty large, so you never really see anyone. But even outside, like the front door, there's like a few kids playing, but that's really all I see.
It's funny. I wanted to leave Toto till the end only because, as you can tell, she's obviously.
Do I talk the most or what?
Yeah, well, that's for sure. And you're the female in the group because your background is one of the nicest, is like the nice background to look at right now. Like, you can see the guys. Simos does his best. Tyler and I are kind of just like
blank walls. I have nothing on my walls. Like, there's nothing.
When you told us this morning, we were doing this, I was like, maybe I'll get my spring pillows out. So these have just came out today.
So you just brought those out right now. Those weren't there before.
Yeah.
Exactly. So talk to us, girl. How have you been handling this quarantine, and what have you been up to? And
Like Tyler, I have one dog, and one is enough as far as I'm concerned. So I've been taking Rudy out for lots of walks. I think the first couple days he was loving his life, but now he's not getting his regular naps like he used to, just like a child. Like he's getting a little cranky, so he's whining a lot. I think he'll be happy to see us go as well, quite frankly, when the time comes.
So we're not the only ones that think you talk a lot. So Rudy sees it and hears it as well.
Oh yeah, and like I'm definitely bothering him a lot more. Like I crawl up with him, I pet him nonstop, and he just can't get his nap time in. So
what does he say to you, just for Simos' sake? What does Rudy say to you, and how does he say it?
You're gonna put me on the spot right now.
Yeah, why not?
Like, what did he say to you this
You
morning?
deserve it.
Like, what did he say?
Oh well, okay. So today, also because I knew we were coming on this call, I decided to shower.
Okay.
So big day.
Thank you.
Big day. And so Rudy would say something like this, like while I'm brushing my hair, he'd say, "Mommy, you're so beautiful. You're so beautiful." It's so smart. He has to say beautiful and smart.
That's so good.
That was all.
This is where my beauty has gone to.
Ah.
So how did you do your Fashion Fridays for quarantine?
Oh, my Fashion Friday happened to be on Saturday. I lost track of time. I didn't know what day it was.
Okay.
I put a gown on. Found a gown in the closet. Threw that on.
Nice.
You know.
Matching clutch or no? Matching
Feel
clutch
good.
with
Just
it,
to feel good. And Rudy told me I was beautiful that day too.
Simos and I haven't had our virtual parties yet. We actually have that planned a little later on for the whole team. I think all 25 realtors are coming on. Both Laura and Tyler, you guys have done a virtual party with your family and friends. How did that go? What was it about? Who was on it? How did it come about? Did you guys, and I really want to know, and I think our listeners want to know, were you hungover as much as you were and as much as you get on a regular party?
Tyler, you go first.
Okay, so we had one Friday night. So our plan originally was the weekend that just passed, we were gonna go to a cottage for a friend's birthday, and clearly we didn't do that. We stayed inside, and we had a Zoom call just like this actually, with probably about 12 different cameras.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun. We ended up playing video games together and talking. It sometimes was hard because some people were talking over others.
Sure.
But it ended up, it felt like people were actually at the house, which is really nice. We ended up, I'm sure because you got the email, Jas, because we used your account. Tyler Walbourne had Jas Takhar instead the whole time.
So it's recorded?
No, it wasn't recorded. No. And, I made sure to turn that off. And we started at 8 o'clock. It ended up finishing at 3 a.m. And it actually felt like I had a house party at the house. The house looked messy. It was just me, my roommate, and my wife, Cass. I was really hungover the next day.
Dude, you went for 7 hours.
Session, a Zoom party session. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
And did all the 20 or so
like 12
people
or something.
Oh, sorry, you said 12. I apologize.
Yeah.
Did they all kind of stay on? Did people go on and off? Like, how did that happen? Like, how did that go?
Like one or two people left, but mostly everyone stayed, and it was pretty fun. Like just even texting them the day after, I was like, guys, like that the night went by really quickly. Like that was fun.
That's really cool. So how did yours go, and how many people did you have?
Well, not unlike Tyler's. It went for a lot longer than I thought. Tyler's one of the two sets of twins I know, but it was also my friends, their birthday. They're twins. And usually every year we get together for their big birthday bash. And so we decided to do our virtual party. It started at 8 o'clock. And I was already asleep, but I heard my husband still on the call at like 2:30.
Yeah.
Still going. So the guys stayed up late, and we had hats on. Everyone was just like cheersing and pouring their drinks, and we had a blast. And little did I know that you guys can change the background, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I never. Someone did that. How do you do that?
Oh, watch this, guys.
Go, Simos.
Guess who taught me this? The one, the only Bobby.
Bobby, of course.
This guy knows the party settings.
Sorry to our viewers. Sorry, our listeners who are watching, listening while you're taking your dog for a walk. But that's really cool. That's really cool. And you're coming in and out of it.
No, but basically this works perfectly.
Okay. This is internet connection. Got it.
No. It's because of the lighting. I don't have enough lighting to make it dark. But
so we put like beaches in the backgrounds of ours, like we were all like hanging out at the beach together. Like it was great. It was a blast.
Well, Simos, you and I are hosting the party tonight, so we'll see how wild it gets. And there's a lot of people on it, so we'll see how that goes. What else have you guys been doing? Like, I haven't actually had much opportunity to turn on music and stuff. That's not me as much as it is. I know you three. You guys are big music buffs. Have you taken any time to do that, or not really much?
The Weeknd released a new album this week, last week. So
okay, all right. Local Toronto boy.
Scarborough reppin'.
Yes, Scarborough. Yes.
So that was a very good album. That's the one I've been listening to.
And so you've been taking some time to kind of get some music, and I really have
more podcasts though.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Look, I mean, a year ago, the numbers were about 17% of the American population was listening to podcasts, and today we said at 52% of people listening to podcasts. So like it's obviously compounded really, really quickly. And if you guys have not yet like started listening to other podcasts as well, obviously we hope that you listen to ours and continue to go back to past episodes. But this is a great time to catch up on a lot of different topics. Like, there's podcasts on everything now. Like, there's a podcast that I was just kind of looking down Apple's playlist, a podcast on like Star Wars movies. So if you're a big Star Wars movie buff, right? Like, there's people who are just talking to all things Star Wars, and you know, if you're a fan of that disgusting team, New England Patriots, there's probably a podcast on them. I don't know who would want to be a fan of them anyways now. Brady's gone, and probably Simos is the only person that wants to be a fan of them. But there's a podcast on that. So now's a great time for you to go back. Again, not only listen to our past episodes.
Why don't you show people your cup right now? That's a display. That's unpatriotic. It's garbage, and you deserve to have that cup.
It's more for the star. It's more for the logo of the star, because I like to believe I'm a star. I believe
this is all over, and I leave my house. I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to ask for a glass of water. I'm going to go to your cupboard, and I'm going to break that cup. I'm going to do it on national cupboard.
Is this after the water's in the cup or before?
That's a good question.
You gotta drink the water first.
I think Simos and I are gonna practice social distancing between ourselves for a very long time, bro.
Yeah, honestly, I've enjoyed being away from the three of you guys.
I know that's a lie.
I'm good.
I know that's a lie.
I know
that's a lie.
Okay, busted.
There's any podcast that you would recommend? Like, because I've been listening to one that I like, which is Philosophizes. But I'm almost done it. So do you guys have any that you would recommend?
I don't know, boys, girls?
Well, I personally have not been listening to lots of podcasts. I've been trying to keep as fluid with global opinion on capital markets. I'm just like, I enjoy business news and I enjoy civilization. So to me, everybody can take this the way they want to. I'm in complete fascination of what's happening right now. Of course, I'm worried and I see what's happening, but to me, any crisis like this, especially at a global level, first and foremost, it's unprecedented in modern history. The last thing like this was more than a century ago and in a much smaller scale, because the world was a big place. The world is no longer a big place. We travel, we don't stop. Technology is in front of us at all times. So we're literally watching history happen in a way that it's never happened in our entire history as a species right now.
Yep.
So this isn't a World War II. This isn't like, we're not talking from a death and carnage that way, but we're watching an economic situation evolve, and people can call it a meltdown or this or that or the other. It's not. It's a reaction to news. Right. It's a reaction to psychology. Nothing changed in 4 days on the planet. The rocks didn't get warmer or colder. People didn't change, but psychology changed.
And just for our viewers and listeners, really quickly, this is what usually happens in the quad. Ty asks a question about a podcast, and then Simos is going to go on in this thing. Like, this is why we are who we are.
And I started picking my nails.
Alto space is out. Jas, listen, because I know there's some real good seeds and drops of knowledge, but this is who we are. This is what we do.
This is the difference between me and Simos. I have caught up on like a full season of The Bachelor during this time, and Simos is caught up on all global. That's the difference right there.
And it's awesome because we all kind of have our own strengths and weaknesses. I think that's why this crew and this.
So I will say, so you know what? I will tone it down just because you brought it up.
No, it's not. That's you, bro.
Hear me out.
I actually go. Yeah.
But I will say, like, if I did my life over again, the only different choice I would have ever made is I would have gotten a major and a doctorate in poli-sci and been in that world. Yeah. So if there was only one thing to change ever in my life, because I don't regret anything that's ever happened to me or how I've lived my life.
Yeah.
If somebody asked me if you had a magic wand or if you had a chance to live again, what would you do? It would be a doctorate in poli-sci.
But here's the cool thing. Like, I don't know, you obviously, taking it to getting a doctorate is one thing, but if anybody who's watching or listening right now, Simos said a really, really good point. Like, if he were to do things over again, keep in mind, like Yale, Harvard, I don't think MIT has jumped on board yet, but I know Yale and Harvard are offering free online courses, or like they're $10 or $15. Like they're really trying to bring a lot of value within their curriculum, and they're giving away a lot of these courses. It's not just like fluff courses. There's some real courses that you can get on and start to build up on a new skill, start to maybe learn more about poli-sci and all these kind of things that you might have thought that you never had time for. So now's a great opportunity to take advantage of that. But as Simos says, you started talking about capital markets and what's going on in the stock market, as well as obviously our listeners and viewers are wondering real estate, like what is going to happen, or even more importantly, what is happening. And I want everyone to pipe in, because all four of us have been talking not only to our clients, but speaking with our broker of record, whose family, the Slidom family that owns our and runs our operation, has been in this business for over 4 or 5 decades now. And so we definitely take a lot of the advice that they give. I've been speaking to a lot of our clients and seeing and hearing what's going on. And for example, like a lot of our landlord clients and guys and gals that invested with us are asking, well, what am I going to do if my tenant stops paying rent? Because supposedly in the Greater Toronto area, I've been seeing some posts and some petitions and signs that tenants are saying, stop paying rent for April 1st. I got one late last night from one of our clients, guys. She bought at River City 3 with us, and she sent me a text saying, Jas, what the heck am I going to do? Like, how am I going to, if my tenant doesn't pay me rent, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. And my message to her, and please, guys, tell me what your thoughts are on it, and we'll jump back and forth. My message to her was, get in front of it. Call the tenant and see what's going on. Like, see where your specific tenant stands. Not every single tenant is going to jump on board and not pay rent. But if you wait and you don't be proactive, that might be a problem. Secondly, you can take advantage of the fact that the 6 major banks, and I'm starting to hear rumbles that majority of the lenders are jumping on board now, will also be deferring for 6 months, up to 6 months, your mortgage payment. And so now's the time really to be solution oriented with your tenants if there's a problem, because hey, the truth of the matter is they might have lost their job. That could have happened before COVID, and that could have that's going to happen after COVID, and years to come. Tenants are going to lose jobs. You need to figure it out, but don't try to hide behind or be worried. Get in front of it. Call your tenant. Try to figure out a solution. I sent a text to my tenants yesterday and the day before, just saying, hey, is everything okay? And to a T, each and every one of my tenants said, Jas, everything's good. Thank you so much for reaching out. If there's anything I need, I'll let you know. What are you guys hearing and seeing out there, man?
I'm just going to give you some perspective, because it's very easy to get caught up in gloom and doom, like really. Let's say and there's a reason. So what you're saying that the tenants are saying don't pay rent, there is a lot of that is to blame with Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation. They inadvertently put out a message kind of sounding like you don't have to pay your mortgage or you don't have to pay your rent. It's unprecedented times, and it's just not the case. Just like the deferral on mortgages, you're not going to call your bank and say, hi, I'm not paying my mortgage for 6 months. Nobody's going to say, okay, no problem, sir. See you in 6 months. It's not how it works. There's going to be processes in place. There's going to be qualifiers in place. There's going to have to be evidence that you didn't get paid your rent. There's going to be checks and balances. Now, this situation specifically with COVID is such a quickly evolving situation where 10 minutes prior to this call, and I'm not sure if you're up to the minute because maybe you were having lunch before you hopped on this call. Literally, as of tonight at midnight, all non-essential businesses are shutting down in Toronto, meaning that further to all restrictions that we had in the last week, the entire city will be on freeze. No work, no non-essential anything. The only thing left is going to be a forced lockdown for you to stay in your home. So this lockdown is going to start tonight for 14 days. So we've been at home a week now. We were counting 14 days. Well, the clock just reset itself.
Yeah.
And it's going to reset itself in 2 weeks. So everybody needs to prepare for what's to come. And if a tenant is not going to pay you rent, take it easy and take a deep breath. If you can pay your mortgage, pay your mortgage.
Yeah.
If you can't because you are depending on that cash flow of that single payment, it is what it is. Don't pay because you can't. Don't use your visa to make a payment. Calm down.
Breathe.
So my message is breathe. Allow for things to take place. The bank cannot foreclose on half the country because they want to. So if nobody pays their mortgage and everybody's in default, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to power of sale and some magic person's going to buy them all up and you're going to lose your property? No.
In fact, just on to the point of when you said foreclosure and power of sale, foreclosure is it's an American term. Power of sale is what we use here in Canada. And the biggest difference between the two, it really boils down to customer relations. See, here, because of the six major banks, they don't want bad relations, so they don't do the foreclosure process, which is literally you can be out right away. If there's any equity that's made, the lender takes it. Where in a power of sale, that's not how it works. When there's equity left after the lender gets paid back their mortgage.
I don't even want to talk about it though.
No, but I'm just, I wanted people to realize that, hey, there's a process to this.
Yeah.
And look, reach out to us if you needed to get the lender's phone number. We had a one-pager on our socials. Go to REC Canada on Instagram. You'll see it. But just reach out to us at any time. info@reccanada.com. And our boy Tyler, Director of Real Estate Concierge Services, Air Traffic Control, will make sure he sends that out to you. It's a one-pager with all the lenders in Canada, their numbers, for you to get a hold of them. So it's a great point, Simos. Like, a lot of people just need to breathe. Like, there's a concern. Laura, Tyler, you guys made approximately 50 calls each. And Tyler, I know you did even some more in the last couple of days, just outreach to our clients. Hey, did you need anything? If you did not receive, someone who's listening or watching, a call and you do need some help, we don't know how we might be able to help you, but we do want you to know that we're here. We are here. Us four, the 25 realtors on our team, as well as our 10 support staff. We are here to help. Please reach out, that same email, info@reccanada.com. But as you guys were talking to a lot of our clients, what was some of the feedback? What were you guys hearing? What's going on? Was there any questions?
Laura, you can go first.
I would say, generally speaking, most people's spirits, I mean, it was only the first week of all this, so everyone's spirits were quite high. No one was in dire need for anything. There were obviously a lot of questions in regard to real estate and what my opinion on it was. My general feeling was that everyone kind of felt like, look, assuming you believe we're going to weather the storm and we're going to just come out of this on the other side, that they could start to provide us with some very unique opportunities in the real estate market with borrowing money being so cheap. So people were kind of hopeful from that perspective, just sort of waiting to see how this all unfolds. But everyone was pretty hopeful.
Good. And on your side, Tai Tai?
Yeah, same. I spoke to many REC insiders and parts of our REC family that I now have a relationship with for the last 5 years, being with REC, almost 6. And it was, all positive. If anyone who's listening needs anything, again, as Jas said, let us know. We do care about you. We want to make sure that we do support any way we can.
Look, my personal opinion on the market, and I know, Simos, you're going to have your thoughts as well. But I mean, you and I have been together for almost 15 years in business, and so I kind of know that we're essentially cut from the same cloth in that sense. But look, real estate in specifically Greater Toronto Area in the past, i.e., when we went through the 2008-2009 recession, H1N1, SARS, September 11. The real estate in the Greater Toronto Area is somewhat in a bubble sometimes. And most of those times it came out very, very strong. Reason being because of the fundamentals. The fundamentals here, people need a place to live. This is where they work. And it's one of the safest, it's always on the top in the world in terms of livable cities, best places to live, whatever those lists are. Toronto, Greater Toronto Area is always on the upper echelon of those lists, and we know why. I mean, look at this the handsome four here. Like, we're all from different cultures, right? And it's very multicultural. One of the main reasons, but that's not going to stop. We're still going to have the 150, 200,000 people a year come into Canada, come into the Greater Toronto Area, so they need a place to live. Or are we going to see, and Simos, you talking with other people in the capital markets, like, yes, we're going to see a little bit of a dip, but we've seen this before. Sales are going to slow down. We're not going to see as many sales being recorded. But what happens is there's that little dip, and then we come out of it, and values just continue to go upwards. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to, as Laura mentioned, there's going to be some cool and neat opportunities come up. I truly believe that. But there might be 50 to 80% of the people that are listening or watching right now, that shouldn't even be on your mind. But if you are somebody who is saved some money and you have capital and you might want to deploy it, then this will we've always known that the most millionaires and billionaires were made out of certain times like this. And that can happen through real estate. That it generally happens through real estate because it might go on sale. We don't know. You might have places where you can buy lower than you were able to in the past, especially a year ago or 6 months ago. So definitely watch the market if you have capital, and if not, now's the time to hoard some cash, save some money. But Simos, what's your thoughts on all that, my man?
Again, I'm going to try to keep this is so easy for me to go all over the place.
It's okay. We got time.
Yeah. So
you got nowhere to go.
We can take this right into cocktail hours, as far as I'm concerned.
Our Zoom calls, they go by fast. You don't even realize it.
Some of the concerns are surrounding what Jas mentioned. So the assumptions and what's carried us through what I would call a real crisis, like the 2008, 2009. Okay, because H1N1 and SARS, they came, they went. They were not, even though there were thousands of cases, they didn't get the media attention in the panic in the marketplace, because it wasn't an outbreak at the same time in many global centers. It
didn't feel like a pandemic as much, right?
It wasn't. It was an epidemic.
Yeah. Epidemic, exactly. Yeah.
So a pandemic is when the whole world goes berserk, and this truly is. Now, the real estate market in Toronto. If we take what we've been preaching for a very long time is that we are a livable city, that people and the influx of immigration keeps coming, which is creating this ongoing need for housing that continues to fuel the growth in our marketplace. Now, the only difference that can happen, so now if you want to really give it some thought as to what kind of effect this virus and this pandemic could have. So your negative Nelly or your gloom and doomer, like the guy who wants to take the worst for granted to be prepared, can say that immigration will come to a halt because it has. The the airport is stopped. Nobody's moving anywhere. You can't leave your country. You can't come to this country. How long is that going to be in effect for? We don't know. It could be for 6 months. It could be for 2 months. It could be for a year. So is there going to be a short-term effect on the marketplace? Well, we would all be fools if we said no. Of course, there's going to be a short-term effect. Businesses are affected. The airport is empty, and you can't leave your home country. So no, you're not immigrating to Canada this year or this month. You're not getting relocated for a high-paying job to Toronto from Phoenix, because none of those things are allowed to happen. And until this is under control, it won't happen. But when we're talking about housing, we're not talking about the stock market. This is the other side of the coin now, and what we always preach. If anybody knows this, it's going to be the REC insiders. This message is going to our REC insiders. If you go back the last 5 years of our emails, the last 2 years of our podcast, the last 2 years of our seminars in wine and cheeses, the only thing you'll find in common is that we do not day trade real estate.
Well, you can't even we don't even think about
But
it.
we
Right?
don't.
I love it. Yeah.
But we don't. So we've had clients say, oh, you get me this one. I want to flip it quick for a little profit here and there. We say, go work with somebody else, bro. Not going to happen, not here. Because I will not put my signature that I gave you, my good counsel, if you wanted to flip it in 3 months because you needed that money to make your next move. No.
Well, especially if somebody thought about, anybody who picked up a flip in January of this year, or even close end of 2019, that was going to start doing some renovations and wanted to get it on the market for the spring market of 2020. Look, I hope the best for them, but it's why we generally say, look, don't look at your investment from that perspective.
Because that's not an investment, it's a business.
It's a business where you need certain things.
I work with our clients through their 10-day due diligence process for pre-construction.
Yeah.
And we had many clients who were in the days this last week, and they've all gone firm, not because they got a price reduction on their condo. They're still paying the same value that they would have been like 2 weeks ago, but they just have confidence. Like, look, I'm not in this for the short-term profit that I'm going to get in the next couple of weeks, or that I could get. I'm going to be holding on to this for 10, 15, 20 years. So it doesn't really matter, right? And so they still feel confident to continue to move forward because the fundamentals haven't changed here in Toronto.
Right. And so go ahead, Simos.
So I will go back just to, because we opened up that question. So there are a few things that can change, but now the things that are sheltering, and you use the word bubble before, and it's dangerous because some people associate a bubble with overinflated real estate.
Yeah.
And I know what you meant is we've had this protective sphere over us.
Exactly. I like that word. I like a bubble in a nice way. Like you're in a bubble, everyone's having I always think of the bubble boy in Seinfeld. Right?
Yes.
Like you're just protected.
It was just on a couple nights ago, by the way.
Oh, was it? I didn't see it. I just know. Yeah.
It was. So the same principle. So even if immigration were to halt for a year, even if you were to just freeze everything for a year, in October of last year, RBC reported a 50% housing shortage on existing inventory. There are more people in the GTA already that don't have somewhere to live on a long-term basis. This is why there are still continued to this day, maybe not this week, but multiple offers on rental, multiple offers on any property in Toronto proper, because there is a housing shortage. Money is cheap. Even if money were to change and they were to force things to change, you're just not going to see the collapse that people may be dreading or dreaming about, as if there are opportunists and parasitic opportunists out there. I'm so sorry to break it to you. It's not going to happen.
You spoke about the rental. I mean, we just rented, and Simos, you had someone on our team do it for my brother, rented out a unit like last week.
Yeah.
During everything that was happening with COVID. And we actually called the tenant to make sure, is everything good? Like, we know you gave your first and last month's rent on your deposit, but we're not here to tie you up by any means. If there's some issues, please let us know. And she said, No, I need a place to live. In fact,
Sure.
if I could get the place a day before to move in and went down that track with us. But look, it goes to show again, we made that call up front. A lot of other people will hear this sometimes in the past and say, well, there's so many foreign buyers. Well, you're not going to get that foreign investment. And that's just wrong. Like when you go to, and Laura, you can talk about this, when you go to a sales center, and help our buyers, and all four of us have been there together, before in the past. You'll hear someone speaking Greek, and you'll be hearing someone speak Punjabi and Dutch, and people, speaking.
Rarely do I hear anyone speaking Dutch, but sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And everyone will say, well, they're all over the place. No, the Punjabi people are from Brampton. The Greek people are calling in from, driving in from Cape and Danforth or Oakville or wherever it is. It's local.
Yeah, everyone there has, a driver's license. They're a Canadian citizen, whatever it may be. It's not foreign investment really, and that's why I think what we saw was it 2 years ago when the government sort of changed the qualifications here. It didn't really have much of an impact because there really just isn't that much foreign investment.
Well, they felt like the biggest dummies in town. They imposed that foreign tax thinking that it's going to create revenue, and then they realized that it's less than 2% of the marketplace.
And that's
nice one, guys. Nice.
Yeah, they thought they had something there, but they did, I believe, in Vancouver. They did in Vancouver because it's so close to Hong Kong. Right? Yes, right? Here in Toronto, that's a greater Toronto area. You just don't see that. They're really driving in from Richmond Hill and Brampton and Mississauga. That's who the actual buyers are. And great point on the fact that we know that they're living here because we see their driver's license, because the person at the sales center will say, hey, can I get a copy?
Yeah, and they're physically at the sales center. The buyer is physically there.
Right. And it's not like they're just faxing over or I'm dated myself there, emailing over a driver's license or something like that, right? Look, even the fact with interest rates, guys, interest rates have gone down. They went down historically low even before the COVID measures. And to add that to the plate now, I mean, money is, I think you can get a variable rate right now today at 2%, 2.1%, I think is some of our lenders are quoting in some of our
HSBC had the special for $199.
Wow, is that like today? I didn't even see that. Yeah, now look at that, right? I mean, it does, guys. Just on a side note, you've heard us say this before. Now, in the past, in the future, try always to work with an independent mortgage broker, because what he or she has access to is over 477, 500 lenders. Look, I'm in the real estate business and kind of quasi always know what's happening in the mortgage side, but I didn't even know that HSBC was offering a 1.99%. So the reason you want to work with that independent mortgage broker, because when you go to the blue bank, they'll never tell you about the green bank, and the green bank will never tell you about the red bank. And so by working with an independent mortgage broker, you also don't pay them a fee. 99% of the time, you don't pay them a fee. And so they do all the homework, all the research for you. But now coming out of COVID, I think depending on timing, because nobody here on this call knows, and I don't think anywhere in the world knows how long this might take. We spoke about the fundamentals. We spoke about, if you look at it from a buy and hold perspective, you'll win, right? You guys will, you obviously agree with me there.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I know Elto, she made such a huge comment, like when she was speaking last week to those to the buyers that gone to our last development, and they are the ones saying to us, I believe in the long term. I'm holding on to this because I know where this is going to go.
Yeah,
I couldn't feel better about who is our client.
Yeah,
what we've done to bring them to the point where they can speak that way. And it's music to my ears that I have my very own team member who I trust dearly in Laura having these conversations and coming back to us to reassure us that our clients are of that psychology.
Like, dude, I know you're only saying that because she changed the pillows. You're saying all that stuff because she changed the pillows for you?
Hey, it all helps.
Tyler, as our director of real estate concierge services, I know you've been getting some calls for people needing things. Guys, we don't charge for this. I want you to quickly talk to our viewers and our listeners, because we get a lot of new viewers and listeners. I tend to forget that myself. I tend to forget that I'm always speaking to, and Simos mentioned it too, we're speaking to our REC insiders. Yes, we are, but there's people who are just coming and getting to know us like today. This is going to be the first time they hear us or see us.
Right.
what do you do as our Director of Real Estate Concierge Services, and how do they reach out to you?
Yeah, so I do have many titles, as I led in from the beginning of our conversation. I am REC Insider's personal
Hey, now's
real
not the time
estate.
to ask for a raise, by the way. I'm just sorry. Continue.
We'll wait
Big
a
slips,
few days.
boy.
So I am REC's personal real estate concierge, and pretty much what that means is any of our insiders, whoever's listening, reach out to us either on info@REC Canada. You can text me directly if we've spoken before. I hope all of our insiders have saved my number down. Speaking to independent mortgage brokers, contractors, painters. During this time, if you need supplies, groceries, whatever it is, we want to make sure we can do our part again, as I said. And I have the privilege of doing this every day, not just during this, COVID times, but anyone reach out. I'm currently helping a few insiders right now find.
What are they asking for, Ty? What are they doing?
So there was one of our investors is looking for a few different services in Aurelia, one property management company. So I'm currently sourcing out a few right now and doing our due diligence that we do and we use. As well, she needs a painter, a contractor, and someone to help with tenant assistance, which I'm going to circle back to the property manager. And, it's day by day, just researching and speaking to people and our insiders to see who they've worked with and, getting bits and pieces of our web.
Really, I mean, and if you look in the episode direct description below, wherever you're listening or watching, if it's on YouTube, I'll make sure. So Stephen Rochester and Clem, beautiful Clem, aka Machado, whoever's going to help do the post-production here for us guys, if you don't mind, please make sure in the episode description you put our text community, which is www.textreccanada.com. That's www.textreccanada.com. It's by far the most revolutionized way to get in touch with us now and stay on top of exclusive opportunities, all of our content. And so guys, make sure you put that in there. Get to it. Whoever's watching or listening, you're gonna have to fill in your information because we do practice permission-based marketing. And so once you do that, you'll get a text in a couple of minutes to make sure that like it didn't go into your spam or anything like that. And so what we do there is we'll be sending out our opportunities exclusively to our text community 24 hours before we send out the opportunity to our REC insiders, which is a little under 6,000 people right now. So it really does pay. It's free, but it pays in terms of value because you receive the exclusive opportunities just before the rest of our insiders. Changing and shifting back into real estate quickly, Simos, I want you to talk about the commercial landscape, because you've obviously been dealing with in the last 30 days, specifically our commercial team and our commercial division, which tells me that you guys are talking to a lot of the clients. Where's their headspace at? Where's their thinking at? What are they looking at? Are they seeing this as a time of opportunity? Are they sitting back and saying, hey, let's just breathe for a bit. We don't want to put our money anywhere. What's kind of the landscape, man?
Yeah, the commercial segment is going to be impacted a lot further and more significantly, and it's a twofold question. So in our commercial division right now, we were having we started the year on never before seen volume of listings, meaning that we represented over a dozen multiplex opportunities. We were about to launch a massive medical building opportunity, which may be very timely, but we'll talk about that after. But in commercial real estate, the retail fallout from a long-term closure in freezing the marketplace could be very significant. Toronto specifically has been enjoying a 1% vacancy rate in the office leasing space. And just an FYI, I'm a retail and investment commercial broker. I do not specialize in office leasing, but I am fully aware of the numbers and I have some good general knowledge to share. Same with industrial. I follow them, but I'm not a specialist in those markets. But this could have a massive effect, meaning that, let's say, in the tech sector, which we've been enjoying a massive boom, for example, some of those companies depend on daily revenue. meaning that if they're down and can't operate or can't ship their products because of the ground and logistical supply chain management being down, it's going to have a big impact. Unlike residential real estate, where everybody needs a place to live, a business does not enjoy the same type of attitude or forgiveness from both lending institution, courts, or landlords. So there could be a bigger fallout there in the short term, and we are going to see sales both in volume and in dollar amounts decimated and or frozen for the next, I would say 3 to 6 months, until people see that people are back to work. So until people see people are back to work and the trucks are on the 401 delivering product and the economy is back at it, the commercial sector will see, in my opinion, we've seen a 100% slowdown because nobody knows what's going on. But we are going to see a sustained probably 50% of volume down, only because people just don't know what's going to happen to the retail sector, which is big.
Yeah, look, I mean, that in economics, you always hear the term, right? Consumer confidence. And right now, we all know that consumer confidence is obviously not at its peak. It's probably 50.
It'd be a good time
60%.
to own a latex glove factory or a toilet paper factory.
Or hand sanitizer company or something, right? But yeah, like I think consumer confidence right now is not very high, and that really drives everything. We see that essentially drive the real estate market for sure. I've also got a text that came in just before we got on the call from a good client of ours and a very, very dear friend of ours, Andre Matos. And I put it out there, just ask some questions because I'm going to be doing this with the quad. And Andre just was asking, he's like, hey, Jas, because I purchased a couple of pre-construction condos with you guys. What's your thoughts on delays?
Delays, yeah, I got that question.
Did you? Well, look, I mean, we can all kind of touch on that now, but here's my thought process is there's going to be delays, period. There always is. This is an unforeseen event and what we're all going through, but obviously there's not going to be any construction workers laying down drywall or doing their thing, laying down cement and digging holes. So there is a little bit of a delay, but if you've invested in that type of investment strategy, know this, if it's an investment that you're not thinking about living there, so you're going to rent it out, you're going to still be able to take advantage of the passive appreciation. You have no mortgage payment. So it's not a property that you're going to be paying a monthly mortgage payment on. But values have still, look, we haven't seen a decrease in value. So anybody who's watching or listening, there, as of this recording right now, properties are still selling 99% to asking price, at upwards from 99% to 110% I've seen in the last 2-3 days, over 30 to 35 units in the downtown core. So that tells me that people are still looking into buying and investing, but your pre-construction condo investment, it was doing 200 miles per hour in terms of appreciation. We'll probably won't see the 10.1% increase that we saw, but I'm very confident, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I'm still very, very confident that you're still going to see positive numbers, and it's going to take a little bit longer for you to close on it, but then you also don't need to actually get the mortgage on it.
Well,
Thoughts, guys?
I think people are comparing that, Jazzy, to like the financial markets got clobbered. So like people watch,
yes.
And I know because my father-in-law, I personally had my TFSA sitting in a mutual fund. I had it maxed out at 64,000, whatever the max is in 2019. I had it maxed out in the TFSA. It's sitting at 51,000 bucks.
Yeah.
So I lost over 20% in a matter of a week.
So what are you going to go and sell that TFSA now? Are you going to?
So this is the thing.
Pardon?
So I am not.
Exactly. And why wouldn't you sell it, my man?
So if you take a balanced, calm approach, what you said earlier, breathe. The Bank of Nova Scotia dividend fund or mutual fund that this money is sitting in is made up of 100% blue chip. Can it be affected in the long term? Sure. Where did I sign that I would be guaranteed my money? If you want to do that, take the money out, put it under your mattress. I think the Bank of Nova Scotia and every Harvard freak of nature economist that they have on their payroll knows a little bit more than me as to how this is going to be bounced back, where they're going to deploy their funds for them to stand on their feet. Do I think I'm going to do better with that 65 grand in a different fund? The answer is no. If I needed that money, I wouldn't have put it into that fund, excuse me. If you bought a pre-construction condo, you didn't buy it because you have no place to live. You bought it as an investment. It's natural to have questions what's going to happen, but it's not natural to panic. And what do I do? Nothing happened.
Yeah,
Nothing has happened yet.
And it's like, from what we know, it's safe. The money, the actual dollars that you gave for your investment, I'm talking specifically pre-construction, and if you bought a resale already as well and you're just waiting for it to close, it's in trust accounts with some of the biggest law firms in the world, definitely in the country. So it's secure. Your actual money is actually secure from that perspective. When you're talking about the mutual funds, I had a friend of mine say to me, man, I've taken a beating. I think I've lost 40, 50 grand in the last week. I'm like, no, like, you lost it on paper. And he's like, what should I do? I was like, just don't sell. Just wait. It will go back up. If you look at 100 years of the real estate market, you look at 100 years of the stock market, you'll always see the dips. And then if you sell in those valleys, in those dips, that's when you're going to lose your shot.
Well, it goes the same both ways. So when the market's up, people can say, oh, I made 50 grand on my house, or my house is worth $400,000 more. It's like, but if you don't sell it at that time, you can't pull out the money. So you haven't won or lost, right?
Yes.
So it's the same when it goes in the negative direction.
Totally agree, Joe. The only difference, and we're lucky because we're all real estate people, is that when it did go up that 400K, there's something neat that you can do. You can flip it to yourself, refinance it, and take out some of that money. Where all the other types of investments, you're not able to do that, right? So I think a lot of our listeners already know that, and our viewers know that, but some don't. If you're just coming onto this real estate, kind of like part of your self-isolation is to learn more about real estate. That's one of the biggest benefits, guys and gals, that you can take out the money and flip it to yourself when values have appreciated. And if they do depreciate, if your stock has, don't worry, just don't sell. You'll be fine. It will go back up. It's going to take some time. We're all living in a place that's so, at a time right now, that's so out of the norm. Every single one of us. I don't even know what time. I think it's 3 o'clock or something, Eastern time or something now. I mean, all 4 of us would be going nuts in our office right now, getting so much done. We're probably at 60% execution of what we normally do, 65%. That's not normal for guys and gals like us. Like, all of us on this call are people that like to get a lot done, but we're trying to deal with it ourselves. And it's coming from a place of not being able to get as much done.
So Jazzy, to finish that thought from earlier, because I do want to move a little bit to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And really reaching out to some of our people who may be worried. But to wrap up the real estate perspective, everybody has to breathe. If you choose to make rash decisions based on reactive emotions, you will regret it, no matter what those are. Every single time, you never make decisions that can affect your future in haste.
Say it, Toe.
Don't make long-term decisions off of short-term emotions.
Right? Like, it's just don't do it. You'll always kind of go back and think about it, right? And where it'll come from, like, damn, man, I made that decision way too quickly.
That's right. So chill. I think it's an evolving situation. I think we should maybe do this next Monday again.
Why not? We have nothing else to do.
Let me check my calendar. Hold on.
Ty, you were going to say something, brother.
Well, I was speaking to an insider that bought a few pre-construction condos with us last week, and they were obviously a little bit, not stressed out, but worried. And the only piece of advice that I hear you both and Laura also say is, you invested without emotion. You looked at the numbers, and you have to do the exact same thing on the other side. You can't have emotion in the investment.
Yep. Don't worry. It's a great point, actually, Ty, because usually when I say that to investors and pre-COVID, it was always from the perspective of, don't worry about the wallpaper. Don't worry about the curb appeal. Now more than ever, Stephen, make sure you give us a quote overlay on this. More than ever, it's like, don't get involved in the emotion when you're looking at an investment property, because now we're living through it. And Simos, you said it earlier, which I love. Like, we're living in what is going to become history.
Yes.
It's going to be part of history, right? We're actually and it's hard when you're actually going through it, which is to our entrepreneur friends, right? Like, this is. You might be going through a time where you have to close your business right now. You might need to let people go. Or if I hope, knock on wood, that you put away money and put away kind of a reserve where you could weather this storm for the next 3 months, 6 months. I hope even longer, but at least for the next 3 to 6 months, I hope you could weather this storm. But if you can't, guys, like, we run a business, and everyone on this call is directly has seen us go through a lot of ups and downs. And I can speak for myself, because I Simos and Tyler and Laura, I want you guys to talk about as well. But going through some of those down periods that we have in the past few years, and some were from an economical perspective and some were from an emotional perspective, as most of our guys know, that we also lost our business partner, and more importantly, our mentor and our close friend and brother, Simon, 2.5 years ago. And for us four, we don't really talk about it often, but us four, that was one of our lowest points, not only in our business, because it definitely was the lowest point in our business, but in our lives. Both Laura and Tyler also got to, they also went through it from the perspective of seeing myself and Simos, people who are close to them, go through this. And damn, really, I remember us four, talking as much as we possibly could, staying close to each other and throwing shit up against the wall and on that whiteboard, all the whiteboards that we had, and somehow we got through it. And if there's someone listening, maybe now is the time for us four to go back into that. So I see that you want to say something. Go.
Yeah, well, I just think at that time things felt like they were spiraling out of control. It was one disaster, and then that was followed by another disaster and another disaster. And right when you thought you were at rock bottom, it seemed like there was somehow more shit underneath it. And I think what really helped us was to piggyback on taking a breath, but really also just going back to basics. What is your business that you're in? Don't make it too complicated, and just take a second and say, okay, what is it that my customer really needs, and how can I provide you with value? And it really always comes back to customer service. Pick up the phone, call your clients, be in touch with people, and be attuned to what they're going through as well. And I think that really was the thing that turned it around for us. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, and what I really wanted to touch on is, I know as a fact that a massive percentage of our REC insiders are self-employed individuals. They are salespeople, they are commissioned people, and during this time.
I'm sorry, Simos. Even as investors, man, you're running a business, so continue. Don't forget that, investors.
But just to take it into a business perspective a little bit, what I'm going to say right now is, I personally, and I know for certain, I can speak for Jas on this one, that we are open to take any phone call. That if you think we can help you with just listening over your business, forget real estate for a second. We've been running a business for 15 years, and we've seen the bottom. We actually crashed into the bottom because life forced us to on a couple of occasions. And instead of staying there or panicking or a million different things that could have happened, we didn't. So all the people that we had beside us, and including, of course, our families, because our families took a beating during that time for us to be able to salvage something so significant.
Every one of ours. I mean, we were never home, right? I'm not just talking about me and you, toes and ties, and even the realtors that had to just pull up their socks. So great point there, man. It was everyone kind of around us.
Is if you are in your business, if you had to close your doors of your business and you're panicking on what to do, if you need any help with maybe some of our financial templates I was speaking to about earlier, dashboards, or kind of how to look at your business during this time, I am more than happy to take a consult, go over your books with you, and if there's something that where we can create value for you and you can live to see a better day as a result, it would be humbling and it would be an honor for us.
And it's coming from a place of experience, right? Like we've a lot of people have even DM'd me or emailed us, and I'm hearing it from you guys as well, that like, how you guys how are you guys staying so positive through this? It really comes down, like for me, and I know for us, all of us, is that we've been through this. We've seen similar things to this.
But it's a choice, Jas. We choose.
100%. It's a mindset thing for sure. But then from a tactical perspective, we were able to, like, we've had partners that were partners of ours, you know, we were down the whole $600,000-$800,000. Like, that's real shit that we've been through. We literally have looked and said, oh, someone just took us for 750 grand. Hey, Simos, what the fuck do we do? All right, we get up, change the mindset, get quiet, get people around us, and you know what I mean? Get the right people around us, and let's start to build up from there. And so this is coming from experience. So that shout out that you just made, Simos, is huge. And I will speak for all of us. And I'll say that's just not Simos and I. In fact, what we might be able to bring to that phone call. So reach out to any one of us is what I'm trying to say. Reach out to any one of us, and it'll be very, very interesting because you will hear different points of views and different thought process. So you might actually, one person who's watching or listening, you might benefit to reach out from all of us, and reach out to all of us and get different points of views of getting through this. Because I do agree with you, Joe. It goes to going back to basics, one customer at a time. Just one customer at a time. And here's the worst thing that can happen. Once you get to, for me, once you get to that where you know that the worst that can happen is that you have no business and you're still alive and you're grateful, then things start to look a little bit better, because now it's like, oh, okay, I've dealt with the worst in my head. Shit, I'm not going to have any business, but I'm still going to be alive. All right. Okay. Now you start to see it. You get to see, you get to think about other opportunities, because we all know, and I said it before, that the most billionaires and the guys and gals that came out with the best inventions, that ones that we take advantage of now, came from hardships. It came from times where there might have been a recession and or a depression. And so take this time to really get quiet. Guys, I want to leave our sorry, Laura, go ahead, girl.
I talk about my grandmother a lot on this podcast, Oma, and I was speaking to her this morning, and she's an old age home, and so she's not allowed to see any of her neighbors anymore, and she gets food delivered to the door, and there's like a separation between them. It gets all cleaned down, and then the food comes in. You know, she was talking about some stuff, and I said, you know, Oma, you've been through worse, right? Because obviously during World War II, and she goes, you know what, you're right. She goes, you know, Laura, people are able to connect via their phone call video. You can actually see people now. She goes, I wish we had that during the war. So at the end of the day, we're at least able to do this, and you know, it eases the pain, I guess, so to speak.
Well, look, even if this happened back in, I think SARS was 2003, right? I think it was around that time. We wouldn't be able to do this. Like, I remember September 11th, there's like, look what we're still able to do. And I think Tyler, or one of you made the joke of, hey, let's just do this till our cocktail meeting with our team. But like, we have the opportunity. If we really wanted to do that, we could have done that. Like back in the days, forget the war times, because that's real. Like that's, I can't even go there. How much like your grandmother would have went through, or people who served in the wars. But even 10 years ago, guys, we weren't able to easily, like, Tyler, you set up this link. We decided to do this 30 minutes ago, and sent out a text to everybody, said, yo, you good for 2 o'clock? You good for 2? Yeah. Send out a link, and now we can bring us together and hopefully bring positivity and make positivity louder for anybody who's listening or watching. And so now I want to leave our viewers and our listeners with one tip. And guys, as always, it can always come from any perspective as you want. The mic's going to be yours. It can, obviously, majority of our listeners are real estate people, entrepreneurs, and guys and gals that want leadership tips. So Ty, I'm going to start with you, my man.
Sure.
And because for no apparent reason. I just want to pick
Okay.
on you. And
I have 2 tips during this.
go. Ooh, I
during
love
this
how
COVID,
we're talking about bringing value and then you bring
down.
extra value. Good.
Double
That's
down.
awesome.
So tip number 1 is wake up every single day like you would go to work. You know, have your shower, have your morning coffee, do your exercises in the morning that you would usually do. And that's my tip number 1. Always create those practices. And number 2 is work on something that you've always wanted to do. Like for myself, I'm trying to read more, and I'm currently trying to finish Frankenstein, which is a recommendation from Spencer. Shout out Spencer.
Shout out Spencer, copywriter.
So I am trying to read more and trying to better myself that way, and I'd recommend everyone trying to do that too.
Thank you. Simos, my man.
For me, it's all about psychology. Everything else will work itself out. My advice to everyone, and I'm gonna tell you something that happened this morning. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, just because there's so much running through my head, and I couldn't fall asleep till 5:30. But around 5 o'clock in the morning, I heard birds singing outside. So I can tell you that the birds don't have a fucking clue that COVID is happening in Toronto. They know that spring is coming. That's all they know.
They're wondering where the cars are.
They're looking for the worms. They're watching nature happen. And my piece of advice to everyone is breathe. If you need to go for a walk, you do that. If you need to reach out, I couldn't mean it more heartfelt. Please reach out to us. We're happy to share in your issues and take our part in making your life better because we actually want to. Has nothing to do with real estate. So please reach out and just take a moment for yourself to breathe, listen to the birds in the morning, look at the sun fall at night, just chill the F out. This will work itself out. Lots of love from me, man.
Love it. Toto, you're up.
Well, I mean, how do you back up those 2 things? I guess from my perspective, I'm not going to give a tip. I personally find situations like this, like I'm a high anxiety person, and feeling isolated can be difficult for everybody. I particularly don't enjoy it. I knew last Monday when this was all going to go down, I said, this is going to be very, very tough time for me personally. So what I'm trying to do is do stuff like this, connect with people, familiar faces, whatever way I can. And that seems to help in the moment. So give it a try.
Love it. Thank you guys so much. My tip is very tactical today because it's working for me. I generally drive in an hour and a half to the office and an hour and a half back. And from a tactical perspective, I'm really getting an extra hour or so of sleep. I'm not a big proponent of grind till you drive yourself to the ground. I don't believe in any of that kind of stuff. If you guys watch our content, you'll know that. I actually think sleep is very, very underrated. And so for me personally, what I've been doing, and if there's someone who's listening, take advantage of sleeping that extra hour, rest the brain so you're that much more prepared to take on this fucking thing that we're going through, that everyone is going through. We are alone together in this. And now's the opportunity. So guys, please get some rest. So then we need everyone to be more energized. And if that means staying in bed for an extra hour, there's nothing wrong with that. Stop beating yourself up about it. We love you. Please, please reach out to us if you just need someone to talk to. We don't give a shit about real estate at this point. If it works, we'll figure all that out. We care about you as a person right now.
Just text us. Just text us.
I love it. Text us.
Just text us.
That's a great point, buddy. What a great
all right, guys. I love you guys. Take care of your families.
It was nice to see you guys. I miss you guys.
It was finally nice to see you guys. All right. I'll see you later on the cocktail party.
We're on the REC team party tonight. Don't be
yeah. It might should I rock a tire?
So long. Stay safe, and we'll see you next Monday. We'll do this thing again.
Bye, guys.
This has been the REC Experience Podcast with Jas Takhar, an REC Canada production.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching and listening. Please take a second right now to subscribe and follow us on whatever podcast platform you're watching or listening. It means the world to me. Thank you.